Tripling up on your Liverpool and Arsenal players for the Game Week 34 free hit team is essential, but the big question is, which three should you own? We're going to be answering all of that in today's video. So as always, make sure you drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and enough waffling, let's get into today's video. Now, Game Week 34 is proving to be a popular time for the free hit, but if you have already used it in the past or you're not using it this week, I still think this video is really important because you'll get an understanding of which players are going to be highly owned this week, and maybe you need to cover your own teams off with these players. So first up, whenever you're building a free hit team, a wildcard team, I think it's really important to establish the players that are basically essential, and then you build your teams around those. So I think there are no goalkeepers essential right now, and we'll cover off some of the options in a minute. The only defender that I think is essential is going to be Gabriel because of his set piece potential, the attacking threat, and also the actual ownership in Arsenal is so big defensively. You need at least one of those, and then you're taking a risk if you don't go for the double up because realistically it is over 100% ownership in that defense. But I think one is still essential for your free hit teams. Midfielders, I think there are actually three. I think Mo Salah, regardless what you think about his form, his minutes are probably the most locked of any Liverpool midfielder. Being on penalties as well, I just think he is the pick of the bunch. Then we have Saka, same principle. He's the only one that I'm confident about guaranteed minutes over this double game week. On penalties, again, regardless what you think about his form, he has to be in your free hit teams. And the other one's going to be Eze. Again, Crystal Palace, not an elite team like the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, but a fantastic double game week. And for that reason, going for a player like Eze who has, we expect, guaranteed minutes on penalties is just an obvious pick in your free hit teams. But outside of these four players, I think the rest of the positions are up for grabs. There is a pool of players that we're going to look at right now that we need to select from, but these four I think need to be in your team, and then with the remaining budget you fill the other spots. So let's get into the pool of players that we're selecting from to get an understanding of who are differentials and who maybe we can avoid. So here we have the free hit options for your drafts that you are building right now, and as you can see, they are all the teams that double basically. I don't think there are any teams that single that need to be in your free hit. Yes, I know Man City are away against Brighton, but I think it's really difficult, firstly, to pinpoint the players that will start in that game off the back of the Champions League, and secondly, whether they will actually outscore a player that will get over 120 minutes minimum in that double game week. And the same applies to something like Man United. There is no denying that Bruno Fernandes could be the highest scoring player this week with a one game in the week. However, I just have no confidence in Man United, and I just don't fancy him for 90 minutes against Sheffield United over any midfielder that actually doubles. So you may disagree, you may build a free hit team with single game weekers, but for me, it is an opportunity lost if you allocate one of those spots to a single game weeker. So like anything, we only have 15 places to fill, and when we look at what we need to allocate to our team, the team gets full very, very quickly. So first up, triple Liverpool is essential, guaranteed. They have a decent double away against Fulham and away against Everton. Not at home, which is a little bit frustrating, but regardless, triple Liverpool is on the cards. As I mentioned, I think Mo Salah is essential. So we're basically picking two players from the following list. Alisson, Trent, Robertson, Van Dijk is a bit of our defensive cover, and Jota, Diaz and Darwin is more of the offensive coverage. Now, realistically, when we're going through these players, the only people that I can sit here and say to you are going to play probably the majority of minutes are going to be Alisson and Van Dijk. I really do think Trent is the exciting pick. If you are free hitting, that would be the route that I would like to go for just because of that upside. And with the injury to Connor Bradley, even if Trent doesn't play guaranteed 90 minutes, I would expect him to start both of the games at least. In terms of the other attackers, Jota, Diaz and Darwin, I have zero idea which one of those is going to play both games. I think tonight's game against Atlanta is going to be really pivotal. If Jota doesn't play in that game, I would then expect him to play in that Fulham game. So maybe monitor the Europa League minutes, but regardless, I think the understanding of Liverpool is probably going double up on the attack is the route to go for, and then investing in either Alisson is your boring pick or chasing the upside in Trent. And I think realistically, if you're free hitting, you've got to take some chances, and Trent absolutely is one of those in your team. Looking at Arsenal, off the back of their Champions League game, we don't know what team is going to play. I think Saka is locked in, as I mentioned, and one defender, whether you want to go for goalkeeper coverage and Raya, but I don't really advise that because he isn't great on the bonus, and the defenders do have the potential for attack and return. So I would go for either Gabriel, White or Saliba, and then of course, if you don't fancy any of the attackers, you have to go for double Arsenal defence to really get any sort of benefit from it. So then I would advise going for Gabriel plus White or Gabriel plus Saliba as an example. The reason why I'm a little bit hesitant is I don't know about the minutes for the attackers. Now, Havertz is probably my pick over Odegaard just because him playing as a centre forward, I think there is more upside as an FPL option, but I do think Odegaard's minutes are probably a bit more secure when we look at it against Havertz. I wouldn't be going Trossard, I wouldn't be going Martinelli or Jorginho, for example. So of the Arsenal pick, you definitely got to go 3. And if I had to pick a 3, it would be Gabriel, Saka plus Havertz. But if you want to go a little bit more safe, then you would go for Gabriel, a defender, and then Saka. Looking at Palace, you have to triple up on Palace. The double is probably one of the best in the week at home against West Ham and at home against Newcastle. Now, we discussed Eze, I think, is essential in your teams. Then it's all about what route you want to go down. I think you could go Eze, Elise and Mateta. Just go for the triple up and hope that they play decent minutes amongst them. I would expect Eze to get the most minutes, Mateta second and Elise third. However, looking at yesterday's video, Elise is the high risk, high reward pick. His underlying numbers are fantastic. And if he was to get 120 minutes in the double, I actually think he could outscore Eze. I think he's that good of an option. Otherwise, you back yourself with maybe someone like a Henderson would be my pick between the sticks. Last up, some of the players available because, again, we're filling out these teams. The only Bournemouth player I'll go is Solanke, and I think it's very tough not to pick him just because he offers guaranteed minutes and on penalties. Everton, I would not pick an Everton player in your starting 11 apart from Pickford. But Mikalenko, Tarkowski are perfectly good as defensive bench picks. And last up, Wolves. Aït-Nouri still yellow flag, but we do expect him to return to the game this weekend. However, will he play both is the big question mark. So I wouldn't necessarily be massively pushing to start him in your teams, but I think if he gets past fit, he is a great option. And Cunha is going to be the same. With the injuries to Wolves, I expect Cunha to play in both, but I don't expect him to play 90 minutes in both. So he's a great pick as well. But also, when we look at the other options, I have no guarantees he will play 180 minutes. So that's the pool of your players. Let's take a look at some free hit drafts. Okay, so here's the first free hit team for Gameweek 34, and I'm going to call this the safe draft, if you can call it a safe draft. And what I mean by that is this covers off ownership, minutes, and I feel like this is probably the route I'll go down if I was a bit more of a safer manager. So just rattling through the players right now, we've gone for Jose Sa between the sticks. Look, I think Henderson's a great pick for Crystal Palace, but as you can see, I've gone for triple Crystal Palace attack. When we look at goalkeepers, realistically in a double game week, I think anybody could do well. I know Wolves have Arsenal at home, but sometimes goalkeepers with trickier fixtures get the monster hauls in those games, and then he does have Bournemouth at home afterwards. So I think Jose Sa is one of those few goalkeepers that does have the potential for big returns. So I quite like him as a bit of a differential goalkeeper if you want to go down that route. However, Pickford is perfectly fine at home against Forest and at home against Liverpool. But Liverpool game automatically, I think, isn't a clean sheet. So then you're putting all your eggs in that Nottingham Forest basket. So I do like going a little bit different and going for Jose Sa. Now, in terms of the defence, this is what I'm talking about being safe. I've gone for the double Arsenal in Gabriel and Saliba because I have no guarantees on that second Arsenal attacker who is going to play every single minute. Whereas Gabriel and Saliba, I just know are going to be locked in for this double game week unless any surprises crop up off the back of the Champions League. And the other one's going to be Van Dijk. Again, it isn't exciting. You could easily put Trent into this team, but if I want a player that is going to play what I think every single minute in that double and get those locked in minutes, Virgil van Dijk is your safe pick, and it's not like he can't offer attack and potential. He has cropped up in the box numerous times scoring big goals for Liverpool, so I wouldn't even be surprised if he was to score in this double game week. So in terms of the defence, it isn't any thrills, it is just safe for this game week. And what we do need to remember is when we're free hitting, people who aren't free hitting probably have double Arsenal defence. So if you go against it and it comes in, you just having one Arsenal defender isn't actually a good thing. Moving into the midfield, again, we always have to take some risks, but Salah, Eze and Saka, as I've deemed already, I personally think are essential for your team. So I'm not going to touch on those players. Outside of that, to be honest with you, I don't think there is a midfielder that you can pick in your free hit team that actually is a viable FPL option that has guaranteed minutes. I've gone through all of them. I've landed on these two. Luis Diaz, I think if you have to pick another Liverpool player that is an FPL option, is the route to go. McAllister is a very close second because I think he'll play the majority of the minutes in the double. But what I've seen over the last few weeks, he isn't getting into those offensive positions. If we do see a return to that, or you think he does return to that number 10, he is the pick of the Liverpool bunch, regardless of his price. But Luis Diaz's underlying numbers are fantastic. He started the last 13 or 14 league games. Yes, the return of Jota, Gakpo in the team is going to hinder his minutes, but I think he plays the most out of the picks of him, Jota or Darwin Núñez. So he is this safe pick for our teams. And then I've gone for Elise as well. I do think his minutes are going to be early substitutions. However, I think he starts both in my personal opinion. And when we spoke about yesterday's video, he has the potential for double-digit returns. And I really like Elise as a little bit of a differential in this safe free hit team. Now, looking at the front two, if we're talking about a safe team, they don't come much better than Solanke or Mateta. Please ignore the captaincy. It wouldn't be on Mateta. It probably would be on Mo Salah. I've been a little bit lazy not changing that. But Solanke just ticks all the boxes, guaranteed game time on penalties, and he is a goal scorer at the end of the day. Fixtures aren't amazing, but I still think he is good enough for the double. And Mateta has been playing week in, week out for Crystal Palace. Could we see Edouard come in? Yes. Could we see Ayew come in? Yes. But I've seen nothing to suggest Mateta will come out of the team. Outside of that, on the bench, we've gone for Pickford as our cheap enabler. Cunha, I think he starts both, but I think he comes off early in both. Aït-Nouri, if he gets the yellow flag taken off, he could be a brilliant differential. And, of course, Mykolenko. So this is the first draft. And, again, it covers you off from the double Arsenal defence. It gives you guaranteed minutes in the Liverpool team. I think we've got the safest Liverpool second attacker, and I think we've got Elise in there as a nice little differential. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on this team. Let me show an alternative team that some people may deem a little bit more riskier. Okay, so here is the free hit team number 2. And personally, I feel like this is one that probably gets people a little bit more excited. So we've gone for Henderson in goal. I think the fixtures are good, but I like the Newcastle attack. So I think there's only one potential clean sheet opportunity for Crystal Palace here. But I do like Henderson as the main goalkeeper for a free hit team. And the reason why he's in this team is because we have removed one of the Crystal Palace attackers to opt for both double Liverpool attack and double Arsenal attack. But we'll come on to that in a minute. The defence has changed. We've kept Gabriel in. Again, I think he's an essential pick for your free hit teams. But we've gone for the high risk, high reward option in Trent Alexander-Arnold. And to be honest with you, if you're free hitting, I think you just put Trent in. Unless we see something against Atlanta where he plays the full 90 minutes and it casts major doubts on his game time against Fulham, I just think he is too good of an option to ignore. And importantly, his ownership is low enough where you're going to get serious returns if he was to deliver. So Trent is in. I think he's way more exciting than Virgil van Dijk. And the other option I've gone for is Aït-Nouri. Again, I can't go for a Liverpool option. I can't go for double Arsenal because of the investment in other areas. So I've gone for Aït-Nouri because I think he ticks a lot of boxes. Playing for a good team with attacking purpose. Yes, he could be a little bit of a minutes risk with him coming back from injury. But if he is past fit, I think he's a brilliant option in these teams. And also it's worth noting, he is quite highly owned in teams outside of that free hit. So I think he just covers your bases quite nicely. Moving into midfield. As we mentioned, Salah, Eze, Saka are locked in. So we've only had 2 positions to really rotate here, but we have gone for the uber differentials. We've gone for Havertz. His game time has been pretty locked in this Arsenal team. I think he definitely starts one and he plays them decent minutes in the other. Whether it be as a forward, whether it be as a number 8, I still fancy him as the differential pick in this Arsenal team, and he would be my next best pick. I just don't get that compelled by Odegaard, but if you feel like he is a great option, he probably is the safer pick of the 2. But I really like Havertz as a bit of a differential. And then we've gone for Diogo Jota. Now, this is a really risky pick, but this is my thoughts here. Atlanta, if he plays 90 minutes, then you can kind of rule out the Fulham game because he's returning from injury, but then you would have him for the Everton game. But I think Liverpool's attack has been all over the place recently. There has been no composure in the final third. And I think Klopp's going to look at it and think, I have my best finisher back in the team now. I think I need Jota in both of these games. Again, it is all assumption, but if they want a chance of winning the league, Diogo Jota's calming presence needs to be in that team for a lot of this double. And that's why I think Jota is an amazing option for your FPL teams. But again, is he guaranteed for minutes? No. So you know you're taking a bit of a risk when you go there. Last up, the front two hasn't really changed. I was looking at some differential forwards for you to choose from. You could maybe swap Cunha out for Mateta, but I just see no reason why either of Solanke or Mateta needs to come out of your team. I just think they tick all of the boxes, and we've got the usual bench. Now, somebody like a Diaz at Sheffield United is actually quite interesting, but I just can't bring myself to bring in a Sheffield United defender. So, sorry, a midfielder. So, of the two drafts, this is the one that I prefer. I think you've got the high upside of the players. You've got the exciting picks, but also the coverage in those essentials. But let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Yes, guys, okay, that's going to wrap up today's Game Week 34 free hit team video. I personally am not on a free hit. I'm a little bit jealous for those that are, but of course, if you're one of those that aren't free hitting, hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea on what those teams are going to look like so you can cover yourself off a little bit better. I'm going to be dropping my team selection video tomorrow, so as always, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.